A bouquet of white roses arrived at dusk. No sender's name. Just a brief card. For what you've endured. I'd barely set the vase down when Gerald Knox, my stepfather, snatched the flowers, smashed the vase, and shoved me into the kitchen shelf. He thought they were from a lover. He didn't know who sent them. He didn't know what was hidden in the stems. And he never imagined they would trigger the most expensive downfall of his life. My name is Laurel Pierce, and at 29, I've learned that home isn't always where the heart is. Sometimes it's where the fear lives. I work as a lab technician at Silverbrook Hospital in Blackwater Ridge, a job that pays just enough to keep me tethered to a house I no longer recognize as mine. The kitchen still smells like the pot roast my mother Diane made for dinner, but the shattered glass from the vase catches the overhead light like tiny accusations. Gerald Knox stands over me, his contractor's hands still clenched, his face that particular shade of red I've learned to associate with danger. Behind him, my half-brother Mason watches from the doorway, 22 years old and already perfecting our stepfather's sneer. "Who is he?" Gerald's voice fills the kitchen, bouncing off the granite countertops he installed last year. Overpriced. Like everything from Knox & Sons remodeling. "You think I'm stupid? White roses? That's not something you send to just anyone." I press my hand against my ribs where the shelf caught me. "I don't know who sent them." "Lying whore." The words slice through the air. But I've heard worse. In this house, Gerald's house rules dictate everything from curfews to credit cards, from dinner conversations to doctor visits. My mother hovers near the stove, wringing a dishcloth, her eyes carefully averted. 7 years of this marriage have taught her the art of selective blindness. "Gerald, please," she whispers, but it's more ritual than protest. Since their wedding, she's been financially dependent on him, her part-time bookkeeping job barely covering groceries. He reminds us daily how generous he is, keeping a roof over our heads, food on the table, his benevolence measured in receipts and resentment. Mason steps into the kitchen, his Knox & Sons polo shirt still pristine despite a day of project management, which mostly involves long lunches and charging personal expenses to the company card. "Maybe Laurel's finally found someone desperate enough," he offers, earning an approving grunt from Gerald. I gather the larger pieces of glass, careful not to cut myself. The roses lie scattered across the floor, their white petals already bruising. As I reach for one, my fingers brush against the ribbon that had held them together. Something feels off about it, too rigid, like there's something sewn inside. "Clean this up," Gerald commands, already turning away. "And throw those flowers in the trash where they belong. If I find out you're sneaking around behind my back, you'll be out on the street faster than your mother can pack your bags." My mother flinches but says nothing. She never does. I wait until I hear his heavy footsteps on the stairs, until Mason's bedroom door slams, until my mother retreats to her sewing room, her sanctuary of fabric and thread, where she can pretend our life is as neat as her stitches. Only then do I carefully examine the ribbon. There, sewn into the fabric with nearly invisible thread, is something that feels like a memory card, thin as a whisper, disguised as a care tag. My heart pounds as I work it free, slipping it into my pocket before sweeping up the rest of the glass. The house settles into its nightly routine of careful distances and unspoken rules, but in my pocket, that tiny card feels like a lit fuse, and I wonder who would send me roses with a secret, and why they thought I'd endured enough to deserve them. The bathroom mirror doesn't lie. Under the harsh fluorescent light, I catalog the damage, a darkening bruise along my ribs, another on my upper arm where Gerald grabbed me. I've gotten good at this, positioning my phone for the clearest shots, making sure the timestamp is visible, evidence. That's what my colleague Marcy always says when she sees me favoring one side at work. Document everything. Honey, you never know when you'll need it. I change into jeans and a jacket that covers the marks, then text Marcy. "Can you cover my shift for 2 hours? Emergency." Her response is immediate. "Westway ER. I'm on duty. Side entrance." The drive to Westway takes 15 minutes, but I circle the parking lot twice. making sure I don't recognize any cars. In a town like Blackwater Ridge, gossip travels faster than ambulances. The side entrance leads directly to triage, where Marcy waits with a clipboard and a grim expression. Again? She doesn't need to ask who. We go through the routine. Photographs, measurements, official medical documentation. Dr. Hoffman, who's seen me 3 times this year, writes his notes with practiced neutrality. Contusions consistent with blunt force trauma. Patient states she fell against kitchen furniture. The legal language of plausible deniability. You know this is escalating, Marcy says quietly as she bandages a cut I hadn't noticed on my palm. The flowers set him off? White roses, no card with a name, just... I hesitate. The memory card burns in my pocket, but something tells me to keep it secret for now. Just a weird message. Back in my car. I lock the doors and pull out the memory card. My laptop is in the back seat. I always keep it with me now, ever since Gerald installed parental controls on the home computer to monitor household spending. The card slides into the adapter, and my screen fills with files. PDFs, dozens of them. I click the first one, and my breath catches. It's a bank statement for Knox & Sons remodeling, but the numbers don't match anything I've seen in the papers Gerald sometimes leaves on his desk. There are invoices for materials, premium lumber, copper piping, marble tiles, alongside photos of construction sites using particle board, PVC, and ceramic. The differences in cost run into tens of thousands per project. Another folder contains emails between Gerald and someone named TF Construction, a company I've never heard of, despite living in this small town my whole life. Ghost contractors. I realize, billing for work never performed, splitting the profits. My hands shake as I open a text file labeled simply, "Read this first." L. You don't know me, but I know what you're enduring. These documents are just the beginning. Your stepfather has built his kingdom on fraud, and kingdoms built on lies always fall. If you want out, truly out, then stay calm. Gather what evidence you can from the house. Say nothing to your mother until you're both safe. The bruises you're documenting today may be the key to everything. RC. RC. The initials mean nothing to me, but whoever this person is, they know my name, my situation. Even that I'd be hurt tonight. The thought should terrify me, but instead, I feel something I haven't experienced in years. Hope. I download everything onto my laptop and create 3 backup copies, one on my phone, one on a cloud service Gerald doesn't know I have, and one on a flash drive I'll hide at work. Then I drive home. The medical report tucked safely in my purse, each bump in the road reminding me of the bruises underneath my jacket. The house is dark except for the TV's blue glow from the living room. I slip inside, but Gerald's voice stops me. Where were you? Pharmacy, I lie smoothly. Needed ibuprofen. He grunts, already dismissing me, and I escape to my room. But I don't take the ibuprofen. I need to feel every ache, every pain. They're not just injuries anymore, they're evidence. And according to RC, they might be the key to bringing down Gerald Knox's carefully constructed empire. I spend the rest of the night planning, my mind racing through possibilities. Tomorrow, I'll start gathering more evidence, but tonight, I allow myself one small smile. Someone sent me roses and a way out. I just need to be smart enough and brave enough to take it. Ridge Florals sits between a dry cleaner and a sandwich shop on Main Street, its window display featuring the same tired arrangement of carnations and baby's breath that's been there since spring. I push through the door at lunch, setting off a small bell that brings the owner, Mrs. Hartley, from the back room. Can I help you? She wipes her hands on a green apron, leaving smudges of pollen. I received a delivery yesterday evening, I say, keeping my voice steady. White roses. Unfortunately, there was an accident with the vase. I was hoping to file a complaint about the packaging. It's a thin excuse, but Mrs. Hartley's face immediately shifts to concern. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Let me check our delivery log. She pulls out a battered notebook, flipping through carbon copies. Yesterday evening. Yes, here it is. 12 white roses, delivered to 452 Oakwood Drive. That's right. Was there any sender information? I'd like to thank them properly, despite the broken vase. She squints at the form. Paid by corporate card, Redcliffe and Calder, from their Northbridge Plaza office. They called it in around 3 o'clock. Redcliffe and Calder, I've never heard of them, but I memorized the name. Thank you. I'll reach out to them directly. Outside, I Google the firm on my phone. They're real. A mid-sized law firm specializing in financial compliance and corporate fraud. My pulse quickens. Why would a law firm send me flowers? Laurel? I spin around to find Jenna Ortiz, my next-door neighbor, carrying a bag from the sandwich shop. She's wearing her usual blazer despite the heat. Her dark hair pulled back in the same neat bun she wore when she worked as an internal auditor for the county. Jenna, hi. I try to sound normal, but she's already noticed me standing outside the flower shop, phone in hand, probably looking as rattled as I feel. Everything okay? Her eyes are sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses. I heard some commotion at your place last night. Sounded like breaking glass. I could lie, make another excuse, but something in her expression stops me. Jenna quit her county job 2 years ago after discovering discrepancies in contractor payments. She'd tried to report it, but the investigation went nowhere, and she'd been quietly pushed out. She knows about systems designed to protect the wrong people. Can I buy you a coffee? I ask. 10 minutes later, we're sitting in the back corner of Grounded Cafe, and I'm showing her printouts of the documents from the memory card. I watch her expression shift from curiosity to professional interest to barely contained anger. This is sophisticated fraud, she says, her voice low. The ghost contractors, the material substitutions. But look here. She points to a series of transactions. These match the pattern of structuring. He's keeping individual payments just under reporting thresholds. Structuring? Breaking up large transactions to avoid federal reporting requirements. Banks have to report cash transactions over $10,000. See how these are all $9,500, $9,700? That's not coincidence. She pulls out her own phone, takes photos of the documents. I still have contacts at the county, these construction projects, North Ferry Elementary, the new fire station annex. Those are all municipal contracts. If he's defrauding the city. RC, mention something about banks, I say. Whoever they are, they seem to know about financial regulations. Jenna's fingers pause over her phone. RC? Those initials mean anything to you? I shake my head. But they knew to send the flowers to me. They knew I'd be hurt. They knew about the fraud. Someone on the inside, Jenna murmurs. Or someone investigating from the outside who needed a way to get evidence to you without electronic trails. She looks at me intently. Laurel, this is dangerous territory. If Gerald finds out you have this... He won't. I think of the medical report in my purse, the bruises under my jacket. I'm being careful. No, you need to be more than careful. You need to be strategic. She leans forward. I'll help you organize this evidence, create a timeline, but you need legal protection first. Document everything at home, every threat, every controlling behavior, every financial manipulation. And Laurel? She grips my hand. The moment you feel unsafe, you leave. No evidence is worth your life. As we part ways, she promises to start analyzing the financial patterns. I drive past Northbridge Plaza on my way back to work, noting the law firm's office on the 3rd floor. Somewhere behind those tinted windows, RC might be watching, waiting to see if their dangerous gift found its mark. It did, and now I have an ally who understands the language of numbers and fraud. The kingdom built on lies is starting to show its cracks. The old Depot district smells like coffee and possibility. I arrive at Brewster's Cafe 15 minutes early, choosing a corner booth with clear sightlines to both entrances. My phone recording app is ready, hidden beneath a napkin. 3 days have passed since the roses arrived. 3 days of careful evidence gathering while maintaining the facade of normalcy at home. At exactly 2 p.m., a woman enters, mid-30s, professional but not flashy, carrying a leather portfolio that's seen better days. She scans the room and our eyes meet. Without hesitation, she walks over and slides into the opposite seat. Laurel Pierce. It's not a question. I'm Ray Calloway. Finally, the initials have a face, sharp features softened by laugh lines, dark eyes that miss nothing. She doesn't offer to shake hands, keeping her movements minimal, controlled. You're the one who sent the flowers. My voice is steadier than I feel. I'm the one who sent you evidence, she corrects. The flowers were just delivery method, old-fashioned but effective. No digital footprint, no surveillance footage of a meeting that never happened. She signals the waitress for coffee. Black. I work in compliance at Harbor Ridge Credit. Have for 8 years. Gerald Banks there. Knox & Sons has multiple accounts with us. Business checking, lines of credit, equipment loans. She pauses as the waitress delivers her coffee, waiting until we're alone again. 6 months ago, our internal systems flagged unusual patterns, deposits just under reporting thresholds, wire transfers to companies that exist only on paper, sudden cash withdrawals followed by equipment purchases that don't match inventory reports. Jenna Ortiz said the same thing, structuring. Ray's eyebrows lift slightly. You brought in Ortiz? Smart. She knows her way around financial forensics. She opens her portfolio, revealing not documents but a legal pad covered in neat handwriting. I can't show you bank records. That would cost me my job and land me in federal prison, but I can tell you what patterns to look for in public records. She slides a sheet across to me. It's a list of construction permits, all public information, with dates and project values. Cross-reference these with the invoices you found. You'll see discrepancies in the reported costs versus what the city was billed. Why are you helping me? Ray's professional mask slips for just a moment. 3 months ago, we received an anonymous call on our ethics hotline, a woman, crying, saying her daughter was being hurt by someone who had accounts at our bank. She couldn't give details. The call cut off. But she mentioned Knox & Sons. She wraps her hands around her coffee cup. I've seen enough financial abuse cases to recognize the patterns, control the money, control the family. So you investigated. Unofficially, what I found made me sick. Your stepfather isn't just committing bank fraud. He's built an entire ecosystem of financial control. Your mother's name on accounts she can't access. Credit cards he monitors. Even your paychecks probably go into a joint account he controls. I nod, remembering the fights when I tried to open my own savings account. He says it's for tax purposes. It's for control purposes. Ray leans forward. But here's what he doesn't know. Financial crimes leave trails. Every ghost invoice, every diverted payment, every falsified document. They're breadcrumbs leading to a federal case, and when the feds get involved, they freeze assets. All of them. The implication hangs between us. Gerald's control depends on his money. Take that away. What do you need from me? I ask. Evidence from inside the house, real documents, not just photos, business records, tax returns, especially anything showing your mother's forged signatures. The construction office is one thing, but men like Gerald often keep their most damaging secrets at home. She pulls out a business card, not hers, but for someone named David Winters at the Harbor County Civil Investigation Division. When you have enough, call him. He's expecting to hear from someone about Knox & Sons. And if Gerald finds out? Then you use this. She slides another card across, a domestic violence hotline. They have emergency protocols with local law enforcement. Your medical documentation from earlier this week is already in the system. One call, and you'll have a protective order within hours. She stands, leaving her coffee barely touched. I've risked a lot contacting you, Laurel, but financial predators like your stepfather don't just hurt their families. They hurt entire communities. That elementary school with the substandard materials? Those are kids at risk. The municipal projects with corner cutting? That's public safety compromised. Ray, I call as she turns to leave. The flowers. Why white roses? For the first time, she almost smiles. My grandmother used to say white roses meant new beginnings and truth revealed. Seemed appropriate. After she leaves, I sit with my cold coffee, processing everything. The anonymous caller 3 months ago. Had that been my mother in a moment of desperate courage? The thought makes my chest tight. But now I have a name, a plan, and most importantly, confirmation that someone in the system believes me. The kingdom of lies isn't just showing cracks anymore. We're about to bring it down. The credit card decline at the grocery store shouldn't have surprised me, but the humiliation burns anyway. Behind me, a line of impatient shoppers shifts while the cashier runs it again. I'm sorry, ma'am. It's been rejected. I hand over my emergency cash, knowing I'll need to make it stretch. At home, I find Gerald in his office, Mason lounging in the leather chair reserved for clients. There's a problem with my card, I say carefully. Gerald doesn't look up from his computer. No problem. I canceled it. You want groceries? Ask me first. This family wastes too much money on unnecessary things. I need access to... You need what I give you. Now he looks up, his gray eyes cold. Maybe if you spent less time gallivanting around town and more time being grateful, we wouldn't have this conversation. Mason smirks. Yeah, Laurel, Dad's just trying to teach you responsibility. Dad, he's only called Gerald that for 2 years, but it still makes my skin crawl. I retreat to the kitchen where my mother sits at the table, sorting through bills with shaking hands. He canceled my card too, she whispers. Says he's restructuring our finances. I sit beside her, noting the way she's arranged the papers, some face down, like she's hiding them. Mom, we need to talk about... Not here. Her eyes dart toward the hallway. He installed something on the computers, tracking software. He knows every website, every email. My blood chills. If he's monitoring electronic activity... But no, I've been careful. My laptop stays with me, using only public Wi-Fi. Still, this escalation is concerning. That evening, Gerald announces new household protocols. Our cell phones must be left on the hall table after 9 p.m. No visitors without his approval. Any deviation will result in consequences. I'm establishing accountability, he declares over dinner. Too much freedom leads to poor choices. Like whoever sent those flowers. Clearly someone thinks they can disrespect me in my own home. I force down another bite of pot roast. The florist said it was probably a mistake. Wrong address. Mistakes. He sets down his fork with deliberate precision. Speaking of which, I heard you've been asking questions at the hospital about insurance claims, medical billing. That's not your department, is it? My throat tightens. Someone at work is reporting to him. Just trying to learn more about healthcare administration. Well, stop. Focus on your actual job. In fact, I've been thinking you work too many hours. Maybe part-time would be better. Less stress. Part-time means less money, less independence, less chance of escape. I see the trap closing and know I need to act fast. That night, after the phones are surrendered and the house settles into uneasy sleep, I execute the plan I've been forming. The home safe is in Gerald's office, behind a generic landscape painting. I've watched him open it enough times to know the combination, his birthday backwards, because he thinks he's clever. Inside, I find what I expected and more. Property deeds, insurance policies, and there, a life insurance policy on my mother with himself as beneficiary, taken out just last month. My hands tremble as I photograph each document. The equipment loans show personal guarantees signed by my mother, but the signature is wrong. I've seen her sign my report cards for years. This isn't her handwriting. A folder marked private contains something worse. Photos of our house, our cars, even shots of me walking into work. Surveillance. There are printed emails between Gerald and someone discussing the situation with Dee's daughter and permanent solutions. I'm so focused on photographing that I almost miss the creak of the floorboard. Almost. I manage to close the safe and slip behind the door just as Mason enters, bare feet silent on the carpet. He goes straight to Gerald's desk, pulling out the company credit card from a drawer, his midnight snack runs that Gerald never questions. I hold my breath as he pockets the card and leaves, waiting another 10 minutes before escaping to my room. Under my blanket, I review what I found on my phone. The forged signatures alone could destroy him, but the surveillance photos, the ominous emails, this is beyond financial fraud. This is planning. For what? I don't know. But Ray's warning echoes. The moment you feel unsafe, you leave. Tomorrow, I'll apply for the protective order. I'll call David Winters. But tonight, I need to warn my mother. Somehow, I need to make her see that Gerald's restructuring isn't about money. It's about tightening a noose we might not escape if we wait much longer. The kingdom isn't just built on lies. It's built on fear, control, and something darker that's emerging from the shadows. But I have evidence now, real evidence, and more importantly, I have allies who believe the truth is worth fighting for. The Lakeside Meridian Hotel gleams against the evening sky, its ballroom windows glowing with warm light. The Blackwater Contractors Association annual gala, Gerald's moment of triumph, where he'll receive the Business Ethics Award. The irony isn't lost on me as I adjust my black dress in the car mirror. Jenna sits beside me, her phone ready, while Ray coordinates from her position in the lobby. Videos uploaded to 3 secure servers, Jenna confirms. The comparison spreadsheets are in David Winters' hands. Atlantic Mutual Insurance has their investigators on standby. I check my phone one last time. The footage from our doorbell camera is crystal clear. Gerald destroying the flowers, shoving me, his voice thundering threats. Below it, the medical report, photographs of bruises, and side-by-side signature comparisons my mother finally agreed to after seeing the forged life insurance policy. She's safe? I ask. At the women's shelter in Riverside County, they specialize in financial abuse cases. She has a lawyer. Through the ballroom entrance, I see Gerald in his best suit, glad-handing city council members. Mason hovers nearby, uncomfortably tugging at his tie. The room sparkles with the town's elite. Contractors, suppliers, municipal officials who've awarded Knox & Sons multiple projects. Envelopes delivered, Ray texts. 8:45 sharp. That gives us 20 minutes. I enter through the side door, blending into the crowd of hospital staff who bought the cheaper tickets. Gerald hasn't noticed me yet. He's too busy basking in admiration, telling his story of building a family business from nothing. The MC, Jack Brennan from the local news, tests his microphone. The head table gleams with awards waiting to be distributed. I position myself near the tech booth where a bored college student manages the AV system. "Hey," I whisper, sliding him a 20. "When they call Gerald Knox for the Ethics Award, can you queue up this file?" I hand him a USB drive. It's a congratulations video from his family. He pockets the money without question. Sure thing. 8:40. I watch the serving staff distribute sealed envelopes to key figures. Brennan, the association president, the mayor, 3 major construction firm owners who compete with Knox & Sons. Each envelope is marked with a bold warning. Do not open until 8:45 p.m. 8:43. Gerald's laugh booms across the room as he shares some story about integrity in business. My phone buzzes. David Winters and 2 investigators have entered through the main entrance, badges discreetly hidden. 8:44. The insurance investigators position themselves by the exits. Everything is in place. 8:45. Almost in unison, envelopes tear open across the room. I watch faces change. Confusion, shock, anger. The association president stares at photocopies of ghost invoices. The mayor reads about substandard materials in the elementary school. Brennan frantically flips through signature comparisons and bank records. "Ladies and gentlemen," Brennan's professional voice wavers slightly, "we're going to take a brief intermission before our next award." "No," I step forward, my voice carrying across the suddenly quiet ballroom. "Please continue. I believe you were about to present the Business Ethics Award to Gerald Knox. All eyes turn to me. Gerald's face cycles through confusion, rage, and something like fear. Laurel? He starts toward me, but I hold up my phone. One more step, and I call 911. I have a protective order filed this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, I address the room, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I have 3 things to share. I nod to the AV booth. The main screen lights up with a split image. This is my mother's actual signature from her driver's license. This is the signature on equipment loans totaling $400,000. The difference is obvious even from a distance. The screen changes. This is my medical report from 3 days ago after receiving flowers at home. Contusions, abrasions, documented at Westway Hospital. The final image appears, a spreadsheet. This shows a $174,000 difference between what Knox & Sons billed the city for North Ferry Elementary and what was actually spent on materials. Your tax dollars built a school with substandard materials while funding fraud. The ballroom erupts. Gerald lunges forward but stops as David Winters steps into his path, badge now visible. Mr. Knox, I'm with the Harbor County Civil Investigation Division. We need you to remain for questioning. This is lies, Gerald shouts. She's a vindictive... The screen behind him flickers to life. The doorbell camera footage. His own voice fills the ballroom. You think you can whore around? I'll throw you on the street. Your mother won't say a word because she knows who pays the bills. The sound of him destroying the flowers, the crash as I hit the shelf, my cry of pain, it echoes through the horrified silence. Atlantic Mutual's lead investigator approaches the microphone. Effective immediately, Knox & Sons Remodeling's liability insurance is suspended pending investigation. The City Council President stands. All municipal contracts with Knox & Sons are frozen immediately. Dominoes falling, just as Ray predicted, but the final blow comes from an unexpected source. Mason, his face pale, walks to the investigators. I have records, he says quietly, of everything. I kept copies because I knew this day would come. Gerald's roar of betrayal is cut short as local police arrive. My protective order and video evidence warrant immediate arrest for assault. As they lead him out, his kingdom collapses in real time. Sponsors withdraw support. Business partners distance themselves. Phones buzz with the news already spreading through our small town's digital grapevine. I stand in the center of the chaos, finally breathing freely. The white roses didn't just bring evidence, they brought truth to light. And sometimes, that's the most powerful revenge of all. The ballroom screen flickers between images, forged signatures, inflated invoices, photos of crumbling concrete at North Ferry Elementary where premium materials should have been. Each revelation draws gasps, murmurs, then angry voices from the crowd. Parents whose children attend that school, city officials who approved those contracts, business owners who lost bids to Knox & Sons' artificially low proposals. This is a setup! Gerald struggles against the officer's grip, his face purple with rage. That bitch planned this. Check her bank accounts. Someone's paying her. Jack Brennan, still holding his microphone, turns to me. Ms. Pierce, do you have anything to say to these allegations? I step forward, my voice clear and steady. Yes, check my accounts, check my phone records, check everything. You'll find a woman who works double shifts to pay for groceries because her stepfather controls every penny. You'll find medical bills from injuries he caused. What you won't find is a single dollar I haven't earned myself. Lies, Gerald spits. But the crowd has turned. These are people who trusted him, who recommended him, who defended him at planning board meetings. Their faces show betrayal deeper than any financial fraud. David Winters steps to the microphone. The Harbor County Civil Investigation Division has been investigating Knox & Sons for 6 months. Tonight's evidence confirms our findings. We'll be executing search warrants at Mr. Knox's business and residence within the hour. My house? For the first time, real fear flashes across Gerald's face. He knows what's in that safe, what's in his files. Furthermore, Winters continues, We've frozen all Knox & Sons accounts pending investigation. Any current projects should contact our office for claim procedures. The Atlantic Mutual investigator adds his piece. Our preliminary assessment shows approximately $1.2 million in fraudulent claims over 7 years. We'll be pursuing full restitution. The room explodes. Contractors who partnered with Gerald, suppliers who extended credit, workers whose paychecks might bounce. They surge forward, voices raised. The police form a barrier, moving Gerald toward the exit. But I'm not done. I hold up my phone, showing another document. Mason Knox has agreed to provide full documentation of Knox & Sons practices. He's been keeping records, waiting for the courage to speak up. Sometimes fear silences us. Sometimes it takes white roses from a stranger to remind us we deserve better. Mason stands apart from the crowd, his shoulders shaking. For once, he looks his age, 22, and realizing the man he called Dad built their life on lies and intimidation. One more thing, I announce. My mother, Diane Pierce, is safe. She's with lawyers who specialize in financial abuse. Every forged signature, every unauthorized loan, every stolen asset, it will be returned. She asked me to tell you all something. I unfold a paper from my pocket, my mother's handwriting shaky but clear. I stayed silent too long, out of fear and shame. I believed his threats that no one would believe me, that I had nowhere to go. I was wrong. Laurel's courage gave me courage. If you're living in fear, know that there is help, there is hope, there is justice. The room falls silent except for the scratch of reporters' pens and the hum of phone cameras recording everything. Gerald makes one last attempt at control. When I get out, "You violated a protective order in front of 200 witnesses and law enforcement," I interrupt. "You threatened me while being arrested for assault. You've added witness intimidation to your charges. Your kingdom is done. Gerald, no more threats, no more control, no more fear." The officers finally remove him, his expensive suit wrinkled, his reputation shattered beyond repair. The Ethics Award sits unclaimed on the head table, a monument to irony. City Council President Martha Williams approaches the microphone. Effective immediately, all Knox & Sons contracts are suspended. We'll be conducting full audits of every municipal project they've touched. Public safety is our priority. "What about the school?" a parent shouts from the crowd. "Full structural inspection begins Monday. If repairs are needed, they'll be done correctly this time." The dominoes continue falling. 3 major suppliers announce they're severing ties. The Contractors Association Board calls an emergency meeting to revoke Gerald's membership. His photo, meant for the winner's wall, is quietly removed from display. Ray appears at my elbow, speaking quietly. Harbor Ridge Credit found more: shell companies, tax evasion, possibly mortgage fraud. The FBI might get involved. "Good," I whisper back. "Let them find it all." Jack Brennan approaches with his camera crew. "Ms. Pierce, would you give us a statement?" I look directly into the camera, thinking of everyone watching who might be trapped like I was, like my mother was. Domestic abuse isn't always visible bruises. Sometimes it's financial chains, invisible but unbreakable. Today those chains are broken. To whoever sent me white roses and evidence, thank you. You didn't just save me. You saved a community from fraud, children from dangerous buildings, and my mother from a prison built of forged signatures and fear. The applause starts slowly, then builds, not celebration. This is too grim for that, but acknowledgement, support, belief. As the ballroom empties, investigators flooding toward Knox & Sons offices and our house on Oakwood Drive, I stand in the ruins of Gerald's big night. The Business Ethics Award gleams mockingly under the chandeliers, forever unclaimed. Justice doesn't always come wrapped in white roses, but tonight, it did. The lobby of the Lakeside Meridian feels different now, quieter, charged with the aftermath of revelation. Staff members sweep up programs that were dropped in the chaos, their whispers creating a low hum of disbelief. I stand with my mother's hand in mine. Jenna had retrieved her from the shelter once the arrests were made. "Laurel," my mother says, her voice stronger than I've heard in years, I need to tell you something. We moved to a quiet corner, away from the lingering reporters and rubber-necking guests. The phone call, she continues, tears streaming down her face. 3 months ago, to the bank. That was me. I was in the car, parked outside the grocery store. I'd just seen another bruise on your arm, and I couldn't breathe. I called their ethics line, but Gerald came out of the hardware store. I panicked and hung up. I pull her close, feeling her shake. You started this, Mom. You were braver than you knew. Footsteps approach, measured, professional. We turn to find a woman in her 50s, silver hair pulled back, wearing the kind of understated suit that whispers authority. Ms. Pierce? I'm Patricia Redcliffe, managing partner at Redcliffe & Calder. She extends a hand, her grip firm. I believe we owe you an explanation. My breath catches. Redcliffe & Calder, the law firm that paid for the roses. Ray Calloway contacted us through carefully legal channels. Patricia continues. She couldn't act on the bank information directly, but she could engage a law firm to investigate public records related to our municipal bond work. What we found concerned us deeply. The flowers were our way of making contact without creating digital evidence that could be traced back to you. Why flowers? I ask. Why not just call? Because we needed to know if you were ready. Sending evidence to someone still under an abuser's control could have been deadly. The flowers were a test. If you kept them, if you looked closer, if you found the memory card, it meant you were ready to fight. If Gerald destroyed them immediately... She shrugs. We had other plans, slower, safer plans. But he did destroy them, my mother says. After Laurel had already secured the evidence, Patricia smiles, and his violent reaction gave us exactly what we needed. Documented assault, on camera, with injuries requiring medical attention, a clear path to a protective order and immediate intervention. Through the lobby windows, we watch as news vans arrive, their satellite dishes reaching toward the night sky. Tomorrow, Blackwater Ridge wakes up to a new reality, one where the respected businessman is revealed as a fraud, where the perfect family was a prison, where white roses carried revolution in their stems. What happens now? I ask. Now? Patricia checks her phone. Now. The search warrants are being executed. Knox & Sons computers are being seized. Financial forensics teams are tracing every transaction. Your mother's forged signatures are being documented for identity theft charges. Conservative estimate? Gerald Knox is facing 15 to 20 years in federal prison, plus state charges for assault, fraud, and forgery. Mason appears in the doorway, looking lost. He sees us and hesitates, then approaches slowly. Laurel, He swallows hard. I'm sorry. For everything. For watching it happen. For benefiting from it. For being too much of a coward to stop it. You stopped it tonight, I remind him. When it mattered most, you chose truth. He nods, tears falling. The investigators want to offer me a deal. Full cooperation for immunity. I'm taking it. Every kickback, every bribe, every ghost invoice. I documented it all. I thought I was protecting myself. But maybe I was waiting for someone brave enough to use it. As we prepare to leave, one last figure emerges from the shadows. Ray Calloway, looking exhausted but satisfied. The federal investigators want Knox & Sons banking records, she says quietly. Legal requested them an hour ago. Everything by the book, everything admissible. She meets my eyes. That medical report from 3 days ago? It's the cornerstone, without proving personal harm. The financial crimes might have taken years to prosecute. With it, he's going away tonight and not coming back. We walk out together, my mother, Jenna, Ray, even Mason, into a night that feels impossibly fresh. The parking lot buzzes with activity as investigators load boxes of evidence into vans. Gerald's Cadillac sits abandoned, soon to be seized as purchased with fraudulent funds. The house? My mother asks suddenly. Where do we go? It's yours, Patricia Redcliffe says, appearing one last time. The deed was in your name, legitimately, from before the marriage. He couldn't forge that away. go home, rest. Tomorrow, we start rebuilding. As we drive through Blackwater Ridge, past the construction sites that will need new contractors, past the elementary school that will need proper repairs, I think about white roses, how something so delicate carried something so powerful, how truth, like flowers, finds a way to bloom even through concrete. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Thank you for your courage. May all your flowers be freely given and joyfully received. Everyone who needed to see a kingdom fall. I show it to my mother, who smiles, really smiles, for the first time in years. A bouquet can't be infidelity. She quotes my final words from the gala. But it can be evidence. Evidence of what, I ask? That sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can topple the tallest tyrant. That truth is more powerful than fear. That courage is contagious. She squeezes my hand. That we deserved those roses all along. Behind us, the lights of the lakeside meridian fade into darkness. Ahead, the road home stretches out, no longer a path to fear, but a journey to freedom. White roses started this revolution. Tomorrow, we plant our own garden. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Please share in the comments below so we can connect with storytelling friends around the world. If this story touched you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. What would you have done if you received those mysterious white roses? Let's discuss in the comments.